All right, let's do a Minnesota Vikings 2023 redraft. Welcome back to the Lumbar and Lupagus show. I am Lupagus. It's the end of the season, so we always got to go back and do certain things. We grade classes, we talk about free agents, grade them. We also got to do a redraft, whether it makes sense or not. It's always a fun exercise to do. Look at the 2023 draft and think of what could have been. What could have been an alternate route the Vikings could have took if they took the best player available, who turned out to be the best player available at every single pick for the most part. Before I do that, be sure to get yourself a lumberjack from Happy Nuts. There will be a link in the description below. Get it now for only $30 till the end of January. It is a versatile trimmer, all kinds of different things you can do with it. Make your nuts look beautiful and keep them happy with the lumberjack. All right, let's talk about the redraft. Let's start. And this is kind of every redraft, you don't always have to go with a new pick. Sometimes the Vikings make the right pick. If you could do it again, you wouldn't change a damn thing. And that is the case with Jordan Addison. Why would you go anywhere else? You got a superstar wide receiver at pick 23, 70 receptions, 911 yards, 10 touchdowns. That's the right choice. Don't need to look at anybody else. Absolutely right selection by Minnesota Vikings. Before we get into this a little bit further, only rule is the player had to have been available when the Vikings made the original selection. That's the only rule in this. You don't have to take certain players, don't fulfill certain needs, but the player had to be available when the Vikings were on the clock. Round 3, you know what? Can't believe it, but back to back, we were sticking with the Vikings' original pick. Mekhi Blackmon, 41 tackles, 3 tackles for a loss, 1 interception, 1 fumbled recovery. Grade out very, very high. The dude was just a baller. And again, Vikings defense, not a lot of pieces they can build around, but Mekhi Blackmon is one of them. So well done, Mekhi Blackmon and the Vikings. This wasn't a bad draft, and they got their first 2 picks definitely right. No other route they should have gone. This is where it starts to take a turn. Let's go with Jay Ward, the 4th-round pick. Really did nothing. He actually allowed 6 points directly being offsides on field goals. So Jay Ward, special teamer, not especially great. Saw the field a little bit on defense late in the season, but Jay Ward, we don't know what we got with Jay Ward. More question marks and answers with him. What we could have done, could have gone old Farba. We could have gotten Aiden O'Connell, quarterback, 2,218 passing yards, 12 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Is he ever going to be a starter in the league? Probably not. He was this year, but I think he could be a quality backup, which does have some value. Vikings took Jaron Hall a couple rounds later. Would have been better off skipping Jay Ward and just going with Aiden O'Connell. Again, a guy who could function at least as a quarterback. You can't say the same about Jaron Hall. So Aiden O'Connell, not a sexy pick, but I think one Vikings could at least know you got somebody who can be a backup at the backup quarterback position, a young quarterback who can do that. So far, Vikings taking round 4. Let's go to round 5. Ja'Kalen Roy was the original selection, 8 tackles, 1 tackle for a loss. Spent some time on the shelf with some injuries. Again, like Jay Ward, there's more questions here than answers when it comes to Ja'Kalen Roy. What's frustrating, what is a little bit disappointing was the depth chart wasn't overly tough for him to overcome and climb. He couldn't do it. He couldn't beat out Jonathan Bullard, couldn't beat out Dean Lowry. So Ja'Kalen Roy, I still hope he can do something. I'm not giving up on him yet. He was one of my favorite players entering the draft, and Vikings got him. And who they should have took instead was Carl Brooks, the defensive end from Bowling Green. Packers got that guy. 20 tackles, 4 sacks, 4 passes defended, 2 fumble recoveries, 1 forced fumble, and 6 tackles for a loss. Carl Brooks, Vikings brought him in, had a long look at him. Apparently didn't want him. He went in the 6th round. Vikings could have had him in round 5 instead of Ja'Kalen Roy. Carl Brooks here, at least you have a guy who could potentially be a starter next year. It would have been a key rotational piece in year 1, but we went Ja'Kalen Roy instead, and now we are left with questions, and the Packers got a good one. Round 5, we took Jaron Hall. We could have had Puka Nacua, wide receiver, BYU. Would the Vikings have gone wide receiver? In the first 5 rounds? I don't know. Maybe they would have, but they should have, because Puka is a star. 105 receptions, 1,486 yards, 6 touchdowns. Had a huge game against the Lions in the playoffs, even though the Rams came up short in that one. But look what happened this year. Justin Jefferson goes out. You got Addison. You got Brandon Powell up there. KJ Osborne. You got to rely on crusty-ass players, young players, Tristan Jackson. So it would have been nice to have a guy like Puka on the roster. Now you're going forward, you could have had Puka, JJ, and also Jordan Addison. That's a pretty damn good trio there. Almost too damn good. But again, who would have known? I mean, maybe it's just a circumstance with Puka landing in Los Angeles that he put up those numbers. would have been the same here. I don't know. The dude's tough. The dude's got good hands, and he is a gamer. And he could have been the Vikings in round 5 instead of Jaron Hall, who, again, we took Aiden O'Connell earlier just because of how bad Jaron Hall looked. I don't know if he's even a backup in the league. I think he's a practice squatter next year, and who's probably scratching to make the roster next year, even on the practice squad. All right, let's go to the Vikings' last pick. They took running back Dwayne Debo McBride, who had no stats. He was on the practice squad, and I really, truly think it was just because he was a draft pick. He didn't even deserve a spot. He looked horrible in the preseason. The Vikings should have just took the guy they got in the undrafted region. They should have just took Ivan Pace Jr. There, 102 tackles, 2 tackles for a loss, 2 passes defended, 1 forced fumble, 1 interception. Ivan Pace Jr. deserved to be drafted. The Vikings could have got him around 7. Yeah, they got him undrafted, which is probably better than taking a pick on him. But you know what? They would have hit him that pick, gotten a stud, a steal, and Ivan Pace Jr. deserved to be drafted. He proved that, so Vikings could have had him around 7. So that is it, your redraft. A couple changes, not too much. Jordan Addison's the same. Mekhi Blackman, Aiden O'Connell, Carl Brooks, Puka Nacua, and Ivan Pace Jr. Again, you don't hit every need, but you get some damn good players here, and that's the way the class could have gone in a different world. But again, just a fun way to look at it, see who could have been there, see who could have been Vikings. Obviously needs and, just personal evaluations changed grades on players. But, yeah, Vikings. So there is your redraft. Let me know in the comments what you think. Would you have done anything differently? What pick that I changed disgusted you? I want to hear all about it. Don't forget to drop hashtag Happy Nuts for a chance for a free lumberjack. And always, always keep your skull in your nicely trimmed hole.